Hi, I'm Beth. I am the sensitive psychic medium of the group. I've been kind of in this for about 10 years, and I started out doing cleansings for houses. And I started doing that because I don't just want to help living people, but it's like people that have passed, kind of want to help them as well. They, for some reasons, can get stuck. A lot of times I would find they were afraid they were going to go to hell. They were brought up Catholic or Lutheran. They were afraid to go, so they would just stay where they passed. So just helping both. I consider people that have passed, they're still people, they just don't have a physical body. And I started out just doing it for friends and family. And probably in about the past 3 years, I just kind of got out through word of mouth. And I would just go and clear houses. That's actually a really funny story. I was on the Minnesota Paranormal Research Society site, and you see all the time, let's start a group, anybody want to start a group, and you just kind of, nothing really caught my attention. For some reason, Luke put a post out, he wanted to start a group, and he was in an area close to me. And it actually took me about a week. I would keep looking at it, and I would start to reply, and I'm like, no. And then finally I'm like, okay, I'm just going to go out on a limb. And I think I asked him, like, would you like to have an intuitive on your team? And he said yes. So we would just talk through texting on the messenger. And then he had talked about Paul, and I got a really good feeling about both of them. I just immediately felt completely comfortable with both of them. And it was like a smooth joining, I guess you could say.
Do you feel like something brought you together, in a sense?
I think that's a definite possibility, because it's not in me to be like, oh, let me join your group. Can I join your group? And
because Black Dog Paranormal is dynamic. There is no other group like you guys.
Yeah, I think we're pretty unique, especially having a demonologist. And Paul has so much experience under his belt, and just the way he goes about things so methodically, and he's immediately skeptical. And they're both so calm and level-headed. There's no, oh my God, did you hear that? Or, oh, I got Luke has been scratched, and it's just like, oh, like he picks up a penny, like it's a normal, everyday thing, and we just continue on. That there's no big shock drama. We just continue on. I like that. To genuinely want to help, not for our own, oh, look at our video, give us some likes. We want to help. We don't charge people. I know not everybody believes it's real, but the paranormal activity can be really, it can ruin your life. You're scared all the time. It can affect your health. And then, like I said before, maybe what is in your home or in anywhere isn't necessarily negative. Just because there's a haunting doesn't mean it's negative. Somebody that died, they need help. I run into people who don't know they've died. They're so confused. And like I said before, they're afraid they're going to go into hell. So it's just, I want to help the living and the dead, genuinely. I don't really have one. I don't use equipment. I do, though, to contribute. I really am fascinated by the Oculus. I want to save up for one of those. Looking back, I think I always have been, but I didn't realize it. I was always worried about trying to fit in, because I've always kind of felt different from other people, but It's kind of funny. I was, for sure, it started when I was in Nashville for my daughter's 21st birthday. It was 110 degrees. And I started getting hot flashes. I was going into menopause. And I just seemed to pick up things that were so random. And I didn't realize it was that I was intuitive, but I would pick up what somebody was going to get at the grocery store. And I'm like, what the heck is that? And then there's a group of women that live in Farmington. They have businesses. They're psychics. They do energy work, Reiki, yoga. And we just met together with my friend Gina. It was a coffee thing, just to talk amongst ourselves. And I told them, yeah, sometimes I see images in my head. Because I'm like, I don't think I'm psychic. But they're like, that's what it is. You don't have to see things with your physical eyes. Rarely do I see things with my physical eyes or hear things with my ears. It's in my head. And that was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be psychic. So I would ask friends, like, to ask me 3 questions, let me do a reading, and I would get things in my head, and it would just seem so ridiculous, so out of context. So there's some things I would write down my readings, and then I would go through what I got, and like, oh, you're right about that, you're right about that. Then they would say something that I had picked up, but I thought was so ridiculous I wouldn't put in my readings. And then you feel like an idiot, like one of those, oh, that's what I got, I just didn't tell you. And I got braver and braver, so I'd reach out to other psychics that I knew. I'm like, let me do a reading on you. And the more I just kind of wrote what I got, I wouldn't try to break it down. That's not my job. The information I'm getting is for them. And I would be right on. I continue to surprise myself from the things I pick up too. But then there's times somebody will ask me a question, Beth, what do you get about this? It's like I hear crickets in my head. It's like, nothing. I got nothing. Talking about the shopping list, it's like I literally saw a piece of paper with the items they wanted to buy on it. And I'll see like words and phrases, like they're typed up in my head. Like they're like, if you look up in the sky, you see a plane with a banner behind it, which has like the sentences that's kind of pop up. It's like goes across my mind, and it's kind of funny. Someone's got a sense of humor. If it's something important, it's caps lock. And then sometimes I just get, I say I hear, I don't really hear, but I just,
You know.
yeah. And I'll see it like typed out in my head. Sometimes I'll see cartoon figures. And I'm still learning. I see symbols, so I'm kind of learning what they mean. It's been quite the ride. It's been great. I tell people, either write yourself, if you feel like you're picking something up and it feels crazy, just text yourself a note or write it down, and don't try to break it up and try to figure out what you're getting. Just write it down. Sometimes you won't realize what you pick up till weeks later, but the more you just put it out there and trust what you're getting and just let it go, don't try to analyze it. And I'd say read books, like maybe just get books from people who are psychic, because a lot of them have stories on how they realized what they did, how they kind of honed their senses and stuff. I read a lot of books like that really helped. So going back to my advice for people who believe they're intuitive and want to know how to go forward, Sylvia Brown was my very first introduction, and it helped immensely. But saying that, no matter how great people think these authors are or these psychics, take everything you read with a grain of salt. Take what resonates with you. Nothing is gospel. This is your experience. If you ever run into any psychics or anybody in this field that is like, I am the one with all the answers, this is how you have to do it. run. That's what I gotta say about that. When I first was doing this, I would see shapes, symbols, textures. It started out like that, but I knew what they meant. And I actually, like when Luke will talk to me about, what do you think this is? Like I'll draw it. And I'm not that good of a drawer, so I'll have to look at things that kind of look like it, and then I'll change it to what I'm seeing. And then it kind of morphed into, like if you watch Harry Potter and they would have the pictures that would move, like repeatedly, like just for a couple seconds. That's what I see too, and that's when I'm, like I'll see, when I'm doing a reading and I'll see a person, and it ends up being maybe like a relative that I've passed, but it's just they'll look at me and they'll keep doing the same motion like the Harry Potter movies. And this is getting a little bit better, but if I didn't communicate what I was getting, it would just keep coming. It's like, okay, I'll text him and tell him. Or if I can't call him or text him because it's late, I'll have to write it down or write a note to myself in my phone. And then it stops. It's like, oh. So I'm trying to get more control of that, because sometimes I drive for my job. It's like, come on, you guys, I'm trying to drive. Fine. I'll pull over and I'll text them or call them, or I'll have to write it down or make the note in my phone. But I'm starting to get a little bit better with that. So that's, I'm still learning. I don't have all the answers. It's still a work in progress. It could be dangerous depending on where you go. I mean, there's so many things that can go sideways. I do believe you need to know how to protect yourself, because you can be open to something attaching to you, or really research the place beforehand. I think just do your own research ahead of time. Mainly protecting yourself. You can't just go busting in. And these shows are shows for a reason. There's so much background stuff we don't look at. Like, I just learned Ghost Adventures, all that activity they get wasn't just one night, apparently, from what I heard. This is over like different times they've been there. It's manufactured, it's a show. They've got to make it exciting. I mean, you can do an investigation some night and you're reading, oh my god, they got all this activity, all this happened, and you go and nothing happened. And it could be because they thought they saw an orb that wasn't an orb, but they kept videotaping it. Yeah, we got an orb, that was a spirit. Where the perception thing comes in again. But just, I mean, with everything, do a little bit of investigation, try to recreate it. You'll gradually be able to learn the difference. And I think, like Paul he's going to come into a place he's never been, and he's going to be a skeptic. I think that's healthy, because if you go in there thinking, oh, there's going to be activity here, and a pipe will squeak, oh, did you hear that? But you don't investigate it. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's true, you need to debunk it first. I think you'll be more of an effective investigator that way. This place feels so good. People assume, oh, it's haunted, it's going to be negative, it's going to be scary. It isn't all the time. This place feels, they had some great times here. Close-knit, like Cheers, almost here in the pub. It just feels good. I have not felt anything negative here. This was a place people loved, and it makes complete sense that those that are still here would want to stay here. And they're not, so a ghost this is my opinion, I'm not saying this is fact, but this is what I believe. Ghosts are people that have passed, but they haven't made a complete transition to the other side, and spirits, they have transitioned to the other side, but they can come back, just kind of visit once in a while. I think there's a mixture of both. There was somebody in the back, Paul had talked about he was here before, and it kind of freaked him out. I think back in the cooler, he said, or like a storage room. So I got this immediate image of a guy that he was pretty tall, like over 6 feet tall. Bigger build. And I don't think he knows that he passed. He feels confused, and it feels like that confused people might, if they feel something negative, just might be them just kind of feeling his confusion, his frustration, not directed to anybody. There's no harm or intent, but I don't think he realizes he's dead, and I kind of would like to, when we start our investigation later, I want to have kind of talk to him. He's a big guy, and he's got, sometimes the colors look kind of washed out, but he had really thick hair, and it's just kind of standing up, just kind of unkempt. And the best way I can describe how he walks is like if anybody has watched the old Scooby-Doo cartoons and how they would make the monsters walk, just kind of like hunched over with arms out. But I think he might need some help. And when I say I'll ask. I know this sounds like such a generic answer. I don't have expectations. You can't. To be effective, you can't have expectations. Just you kind of go in with an open mind. Open yet skeptic. You've got to find a good balance in between. I honestly don't have expectations.